Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission meeting of August 2nd. I see we have a quorum at this point. Kate, could you read the call the roll, please?
Sure. Steve Hinnick.
Here.
Mitzi Russillian.
Here.
Tracy Miller. Here. Bobby Stauffer. John Reardon. Jennifer Peterson. John Weitzel.
Thank you. I assume our two members have expressed regrets. Okay, since we're working through this, let's approve our minutes of the June 14th meeting. Any changes or additions or complications? Tracy, John, no?
I just have,
Mitzi?
it was on the Sam Atkins foothold presentation. I first made a comment that I thought the Tamarack model was 1,600 square feet, and that's what the presentation that was given to us said, but I think he made a correction in there, I hope, for 1,000 square feet. So I guess that's correct. I have sort of a note like that. But what it did say is, I think there should be a correction. It says it would be for affordable housing for a family, but what I heard was long-term rental for visiting professionals. And to me, that's a difference. And so I would like it housing for, or affordable housing for a long-term rental for visiting professionals replaced instead of for a family. That's all.
Anyone else talk about that? Well, with that comment and amendment, I would move that we approve the minutes of the June 14th Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Do I hear a second? Tracy Miller is seconded. All those signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. So we have a public comment period here for any items that are on the agenda tonight. Hearing none, I would like to bring to the table some new business. We did get a COA for the modifications of one of our public buildings for the upcoming film. And Kate, could you give us a quick rundown on this, and maybe we could move for it?
Yeah, so we have Brian Ray here from King Street Productions, and he's going to talk about some changes that will be made, very light touches that will be made to the Butte Water Company building for the production of 1923. So he put together something for us, and then I sort of inserted it into a COA. I know that we can't really approve it today because it's not on the agenda itself, but I invited Brian here so he can come up and just kind of talk about these changes that will be made, and he says everything will be put back in place. And yeah, why don't you take it from there? And I think if you press the button there, it'll turn the mic on. Perfect.
Yeah, and just identify yourself for the record, please.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to say thank you for having us in the city of Butte. Everyone's been very open-armed and very hospitable. My name is Brian Ray. My title is Key Assistant Location Manager, working for 1923. The building we're talking about is the water building. We are looking to do temporary modifications to bring it back to a 1920s feel. So items that don't quite fit our time period are items that we're looking to temporarily remove and give us that 1920 feel that we're looking for. If you go to, this is the next slide, we get a little more specifics about what we're looking to do. So for instance, we'd like to remove the Butte water signs. They don't quite fit our storyline for what we're looking to do. We're looking to remove some of the lettering that you see above the front door and some of the lettering that's on the front door. All this just is for filming. We would reapply everything brand new once we're done. Another couple items that aren't quite featured here is there's, I believe, to the right of the main door, there's a security, there's a pad for wheelchair access. We'd have to remove something like that. It doesn't quite fit into the 1920s period. The filming for this is supposed to occur the week of after Labor Day, so the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it would be my proposal that we try and remove these elements as late as possible, especially things that affect the citizens, allowing people and handicap access to the building. Other things that we might be touching is, we've got a list here on the left-hand side, kind of breaks it down. In terms of paint, we're looking to refresh and stain some of the windows and doors, so just kind of give it a nice, keep it the same color palette it is, just give it a fresh, nice coat of paint. Not actual building, but meeting with Tom Loggins, we're also looking into painting the streets, because that wasn't quite in the period at that time. It's something we're working on. Let's see, is there anything else? That's about as much as we want to touch of the building.
Great. I had a question. Near those doors, there are handicap-accessible doors. So there is a plunger that you would hit to
That's
open
correct.
those doors. Are you taking that off?
I would like to take that off around the 2nd of September, which is the
I see.
Friday before the Labor Day weekend.
Well, that would be something, the only reason I asked it, that's kind of integral if indeed you're keeping it as a handicap-accessible door. So you'd have to work that out with obviously the water department.
Yeah.
I just wondered about that, but
Right.
obviously you're aware of that.
Well, I'd have working with the water department and also working with a local electrical company to do that in a temporary fashion.
And the door restaining, there's a urethane on it now, on top of a stain.
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself?
There's a urethane on top of the stain, on top of the oak doors.
Right.
So you're going to remove that?
We would probably remove that, apply our stain, and then probably reseal
see.
it with the
Yeah.
urethane.
But you want a little darker? Is that
No,
what you
we
want?
keep it the same
Oh, I see.
color palette that it is now.
Okay.
We would just touch it up with a fresh coat of paint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. I didn't know if it should be darker because it's
No, we're
1923.
staying in the same color palette that you guys
Okay.
have.
All right, okay, great. Any questions for Mr. Ray from the commission on this proposal? Mitzi?
It's a procedural question, actually, to ask of you and to ask of our HPO, and that is the timeline for their work does not fit with our timeline for an HPC meeting, and so I wonder if we can, whatever they call it, when you say we want to vote, whether or not we want to make an exception, and then if we vote to make an exception, then we would, if everybody vote in the affirmative for that, to our, an exception to the period of announcement, then if everybody voted for that, we would make, there'd be a motion to accept the COA as it has been presented to us as a separate motion. The Council of Commissioners does something sort of like that.
Do they?
Yes?
I would be willing to, I would be willing to do that. I mean, my suggestion was going to be that we could give you a moment to look it over and then come back together and have a special meeting, but if that's something that the council does, I would be willing to do that, absolutely, if you would be willing to do that as well. Yeah.
So maybe we should have some discussion before we, or a motion to make an exception. I'll make that motion right now. I'd like to make a motion that the Historic Preservation Commission would accept an exception to place an item on the agenda which was not placed in the regular time frame for submission of COAs, and specifically it's for the COA for temporary improvements to the Butte Water Company building.
I'll second that. Any discussion on this? So what we're saying is we're making an exception to the agenda situation, and as Mitzi just mentioned to me, there was a certain timeline involved here at the end of August. So, okay, so all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have that. Now, we are going to vote on the COA, which is the Butte-Silver Water Company building, and it will receive some modifications for the 1923 movie. I would move that we approve the COA as presented, and that we would like to inspect it after it's done to see that you put it back properly.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a second to that? Tracy Miller has seconded it. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, great.
Thank you, guys. Really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, there we go. Okay, 1923. My mother was born that year. Why don't you give us an update on the bids for the Basin Creek Caretakers House project?
Oh, yay. So that's all good news. Actually, good news this time, there's action. So what's happened is, we got the bids, we got the contract, it's all signed, and John Snyder is out there working as we speak. So it's happening. So you can actually go out and visit the site, and he'd be out there, and he would have started on yesterday. So it's happening, and he's calling and asking about color palettes and things like that. And so, yeah, so that's actually something that's I have good news to report when I write to SHPO. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, we really are kind of a model commission here for the state, really. We have quite a lot of large things on our agendas, and I think Kate up there at the state appreciates us. Okay, anything else on the staff member report method, or anything that's going on before we get into this business?
Well, I had a page cordoned off here. Not a huge amount. I'm still attending meetings for the Benet Cultural Center, so that's going well. They had a good summer, successful tours. Both of the interns from Middle Tennessee University have left, but they gave lots of tours, and they raised some money, so that actually went really well. The Silver Lake water system, we still haven't received our actual grant yet, but I'm happy to say that I received the concurrence from SHPO finally, so my part is done, so that's great. At least for now. My part is done for now. There's going to be a window restoration project happening at the Jacobs House coming up soon. They're getting some bids for some window restoration. I think it's a SARDA grant. I wish Bobby were here because she could confirm that. This was actually just happened in June, and that's why I can't remember. Also, still working with the committee on the courthouse bathroom restoration project. So we meet pretty regularly for that. So that's still happening. And the plan is to sort of retain and reuse as much historic material as possible. And also, John Sullivan, who's our government buildings guy, he's looking to use the Capitol, the buildings in the Capitol that have been recently restored as kind of the inspiration. So that's really about it that I think you'd be interested in.
It's always nice to hear about a toilet remodel.
Yeah.
Really, it's nice.
Especially the second floor.
Right, some hot water in the joint would be nice, too. Okay, let's get into some new business. We have about 5-6 items here, so we'll try to make it efficient. We have a design review COA for a demo at 1022 California Avenue, an old brick garage.
Yeah, I know that we don't usually bring garages and outbuildings to you. The reason that I brought this one to you, and I didn't ask Kyle to come, just because of the fact that, you know, it is made of brick. It's 2 courses of nice, soft butte brick, as Mitzi would say. And so I think that, you know, it's a nice-looking garage. I'm not saying that the garage needs to be saved. It was a nice-looking garage. It's in really bad shape now, obviously. But I thought that rather than just let him sign off on the demo, that you might want to have some say about what happens to the brick, you know, in the letter. Because it is nice brick, it's 2 courses, common bond, and it can be salvaged. And I've already asked him to reach out to Mike Hogan, and he did that, and Mike Hogan was interested in taking it for Butte CPR, and you know, I'm just salvaging the brick. So I guess that's why I brought it to you, because it's a nice brick garage and there's a lot of brick.
Yeah, any comments from our commission on this COA? There's a lot of brick there. It would, if you're going to palletize this, it will take some time to take those
True.
apart and, you know, chip away the masonry, the
true.
mortar, et cetera. So, I mean, if this fellow